So the first thing that I'm going to ask you to consider is one of the functions of the prefrontal cortex, and that's attuned communication or attunement. So when I say attunement, what do you think that means? Engaged in the moment, okay. Mirroring, beautiful. Listening. Seeing, beautiful. All right, you guys are on the right track. So attunement means tuning in to thoughts, feelings, actions, sensations, images, values, perceptions, beliefs, tuning into mental activity, and then also tuning into behavior. So not just someone's mental activity, but behavior, to circumstances, to environment, taking things in. And we already noticed when we watched Tim, is that we were tuned in, but we missed things, or we saw things differently. So attunement doesn't mean you're actually seeing what's there. We miss things. But it's our attempt to see what's there, to see what is with openness and receptivity. It's hand in hand with mindfulness. To be attuned, to really see things in the present, you have to be here. If you're not here, you're going to miss it. You have to be sensitive to top context. You want to be guided by learning, but not governed by it. You want to consider possibilities. You want to be curious is the biggest word for me. Curious. So attunement has two types. One of the things that I've been talking about is we don't invite children or adults to enter the world of knowing the mind, to tune inward. We start with tuning outward. Interpersonal attunement, the first word up there, I-N-T-E-R, that means between. So you as an adult can interpersonally attune to a partner, to a sister, to a child. You tune in and consider, oh, what's this person's perspective right now? Oh, I noticed this behavior, I wonder what's behind that behavior. Oh, I wonder what they're feeling, I wonder what they're thinking, I wonder what's behind that, I wonder what's going on. I wonder, I'm curious. Interpersonal attunement. And then you can signify that you're doing so through your language, through active listening, through silent listening, through acknowledging, through validating, through asking questions. You keep it about them, interpersonally attuning. And then, without trying to fix it or change it, just to be curious and engage with it. Now, you may later work to fix it or change it, but it starts with just tuning into what is. And then there's intrapersonal attunement, where we cast the spotlight of attention inward, which I keep encouraging you to do. I hope you've heard it. This is what's going on. What's going on inside? Intrapersonal attunement. And I want us to consider the child's perspective. I asked you to while you were watching it, what that must be like, living in a world of no and don't and stuff. But I also want you to consider that a child may feel invisible. They may not feel felt. You know that expression that's common, like, hey man, I feel you. Or you feel felt. You feel seen and heard and understood. Someone really gets you. Well, that's the opposite of feeling invisible. Now, parents will say to me, oh, my child's not invisible. And I'll be in the home and I'm like, yeah, you're directing and correcting them all the time. They're not invisible. But do you really see them? Do you see them from their perspective? Do you tune in to what it's like for them? Because that can make them feel invisible too, right? And being invisible is the hallmark of mental illness and physical illness, when people don't feel connected, when they don't feel seen and understood. And actually, the pain of social rejection is mediated in the same part of the brain as physical pain.
And social rejection doesn't just have to be, I don't want to play with you, although we hear that a lot. You're not my friend, you're not my friend. That can feel rejecting. I heard said can. Some kids are like, all right, I'll find another pen. But some don't. But it can also be when you live in a world where no one's helping you enter the world of knowing the mind, where you aren't considered, where it's all do for the adult, do what the adult says. And what about me? What about my relationship to that? So a lot of us are carrying that pain because our parents did the best they could. In general, they did the best they could. We're not operating with a lot of this information, but we can update and know we don't say yes all the time, but we can be in a yes brain. We can be in an attuned stance to tune in to consider what the child's perspective is.